Thursday, 12 o'clock. I hope you're doing well. Bill Gunner, Tyler Head, Captain Dave Adair creeping closer to what should be a really fun college football weekend, Tyler. There is maybe one of the more sneaky good weekends that we're actually going to get. I always try to look at these things and map them out in August and July, and I'm like, all right, what's happening that weekend? What's happening this weekend? The Southcon at home. Am I going to be tailgating and miss that game? Am I going to be tailgating and missing that game? And you look ahead and you go, okay, I see a schedule here. I see some games here. That looks pretty good. It looks like this weekend we get one of the better weekends that we will get for it's not the top weekend. Let's be clear about that. But it looks like it's going to be a good weekend.
It's certainly a good weekend. A lot of teams kind of fighting for their playoff lives that they know if they lose, that's probably it. And that is one thing that's fun about the 12-team playoff. And look, I was fine with the BCS. I was fine with the 14 playoff. I wasn't exactly pro-expansion when it happened, but maybe it's the benefit of doing this job. I look at November now and say, man, and Ari Wasserman wrote a piece about this the other day. There's like 32 teams that still have a shot at making the college football playoff right now with 3 weeks to go in the regular season. Like, that's awesome. That gives you reason to care about a lot more of these games and tune in to see who's going to stay alive, who's going to get eliminated, and watch the dominoes kind of fall in these last couple of weeks.
No, yeah, you're exactly right. And we'll start to get you the rundown. Clemson tomorrow night at Louisville. And Jeff Brom just getting an extension as well.
I remember talking about this game in the preseason.
Oh, really?
Yes, because we said, man, Clemson, they got all these guys returning. They're favored as being one of the best teams in the country. That Louisville game, that might be their one slip up.
Okay.
That could be their one loss of the regular season. And now, well, we obviously know these two programs have gone in different directions.
A little bit different. We'll get you ready for South Carolina and Texas A&M. Go back and listen to a little bit of what Clayton White had to say yesterday. We're still kind of revisiting a little bit of what Shane Beamer had to say as it pertains to the offense coordinator and the offense. We're kind of getting to the point now where it's, all right, talking's done. Just get out and show us. But I think there's still things we're taking away from what Shane Beamer said on Tuesday. And tonight, by the way, you'll get to hear him again. Carolina Calls with Todd Ellis and Shane Beamer. Backstreet's Bar and Grill is where that'll take place at. That'll be at 7 o'clock. You can catch it right here on 107.5 at the game. So we'll have that for you, Tyler, to kind of see what other little bits of information he's willing to share with us.
I am to the point now where I either want Carolina to win the toss and elect to receive, or A&M defer so we can see this offense on the field first thing. We've been talking about it for 2 weeks now. I just want to see it and see what it's going to be.
Okay, so you want the team, you want the Gamecocks to have the ball right off the bat.
Right off the bat. I know. I get it. I prefer to have the opportunity for 2 straight possessions at the end of the first half and beginning of the second half too. But I'm just dying to see this offense, and I want to see them on the field as soon as possible.
All right, so we'll debate that
exactly
more.
48 hours from now at 12:03.
Good point.
I hope Mike Furry is calling his first play.
Okay, good point. 48 hours from now. Good job on that. So we'll get more into that as we go through the day. Look ahead to Texas A&M and kind of what they're bringing to the table. We haven't discussed a whole lot of Marcel Reed this coming weekend, a guy that last year came into the game red hot, and South Carolina just poured a whole bucket of ice water on him.
They did, no, and he's somebody that in the offseason has developed a lot. He's got a lot of weapons around him, got a great offensive line, obviously just a really, really good team that he's a big reason for why they're so good, and he's going to be a handful to deal with on Saturday. And I have a thought to propose later on about him compared to Lenore Sellers that we'll get into. But, yeah, he's having a great season, got a good shot at being the Heisman Trophy winner too.
All right, so we'll do that. Last night, men's basketball, they won 81-61 over Presbyterian. That game will go down as in the beauty is in the eye of the beholder kind of game.
Of all the games of Gamecock basketball I've watched, that was certainly one of them. Again, it's a game that we're not going to be talking about a month from now, maybe not even a week from now, but they won at the end of the day. That's the most important thing, and they had to find different ways to score, different ways to get to the basket last night, and they did. And that is something that I think is valuable for this season because guess what? Shooting 16 threes is not something that's going to happen every single night. You got to find different ways to score.
Well, they shot 25 last night.
Well, I mean, made.
You mean made, yeah.
They made 16 against Southern Miss. So
making
that many threes isn't going to happen every single night.
They were 8 of 25 last night, but they were led the way by Grant Polk off the bench, who hit 4 by himself. He was 4 of 4. Polk. you gotta go with what others tell me, and the people on the AAU circuit. Apparently, this young man, and he kind of showed it last night. He can light it up.
He can.
He can put the ball in the basket from the 3-point range.
And he's mainly hitting those from the corner as well. So
Yeah.
that's kind of his zone. Now, teams are going to start scheming to take that away, obviously. But when you have an open look opportunity there, get him the ball because he's pretty effective. Also
good to see last night, South Carolina was able to kind of get the job done with a less than stellar performance from Eli Ellis in terms of scoring. But if you're tracking Ellis so far in the season, and this has been my concern going into the season, was did South Carolina have a point guard, what I would label as a true point guard, right? A guy who legitimately could get the offense going and dish. Eli Ellis for the second game last night in 3, 5 assists last night, 2 turnovers last night, but against 5 assists, no turnovers last night, 5 assists, 2 turnovers against North Carolina A&T. He's got 12 on the season. He had 2 against Southern Miss as well. Mm-hmm. But that, to me, is kind of seeing those assist numbers. I kind of look at those and be like, okay, maybe we're figuring out what exactly the Eli Ellis role is here.
Yeah, he's not afraid to share the basketball, which is obviously good for somebody that you can maybe run the offense through. And I'll say this, he's not afraid of anything. This guy's not afraid to shoot from the outside. He's not afraid to get kind of dirty near the basket a little bit and obviously pass the ball as well. So you can use him a variety of ways. And here's the thing, he's only going to continue to get better. This is only 3 games in to his college career. And, yeah, you haven't played the stiffest competition yet. So I'm sure he'll have a welcome to Division I basketball moment at some point, but you like what you've seen out of him in the first couple games to do a variety of things to help your team out.
One other statistic to take away last night, the Gamecocks from the foul line, 25 of 32. This season, 57 of 74. Pretty solid start from the foul line so far for the Gamecocks. Right now, if you're looking for the worst foul shooter, I guess by percentage, it would be Michi Johnson, who's 12 of 20.
Okay.
I guess that's about who we would go with.
Who has the most attempts?
Michi does at 20.
Okay, all right.
Knox and Butler are both 9 of 11. Eli Ellis is 12 of 14. Shamjance is 6 of 6. Miles Studi's 4 of 6. Elijah Strong's 4 of 4. And Hayden Simeon's 1 of 2.
Okay, well, it's area that Misha can work on, certainly.
So you got that kind of going for it. The team, by the way, has launched 100 3-pointers now with 25 last night. They've connected on 38 on the season. Michi leads the way with that. 10 3-pointers made on the season.
They did actually fall to ninth in 3-point attempts nationally.
Oh, okay. Well, they'll get that fixed.
Yeah.
Little to no doubt that will be fixed. So we'll talk more about that too, because again, they rolled last night. Now they get a little bit of a break. Then they come back next Tuesday with Radford. Radford went up to North Carolina the other day. Gave them a little bit of a game. Radford's a team you're going to have to be kind of careful of. Really, it's all a countdown until next Friday.
Yes.
The 21st, when the Gamecocks will take on Butler, 2 o'clock, which I guess means we'll do a 30-minute show, I guess. You know about this better.
Hour and a half. So 90 minutes or 30 minutes.
I'm sorry. We don't come on at 1 o'clock.
We'll probably bow out at 1:30 that day.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, we're all counting down to that, where we'll see South Carolina take on Butler and then Northwestern and get an idea of what they really and truly are. 803-404-6100. That's how you can weigh in if you want to do so this afternoon. Again, we'll get into some South Carolina football. We'll listen to a little bit of Clayton White. We might even listen to a little bit of Joe DeCamillis on Mike Furry's energy level and what he's got to say, because we've talked about that a little bit this week. The energy level for a coach and the energy level, nothing against Mike Shula, but going from Mike Shula to Mike Furry, I think is really an interesting concept in terms of just intensity and energy level. when you're in the locker room before the game or leading up to the game.
Listen, I think we've all played for coaches that bring that extra level of energy. And does that make you, from a technical standpoint, better? No, but having a little bit more juice and energy behind you can, contribute to you going out there and maybe playing a little bit better. And hopefully that's what happens with Frey this upcoming weekend. Again, I'm just ready to see it. We've been talking about it 6 ways from Sunday. I just want to see what he's capable of and what this offense maybe can be over the course of these final 3 games of the year. And my goodness, if they're able to go out there and put out their best performance of the season, offense-wise, point scoring, total yards, and they might just have a chance.
803-404-6100. We'll come back. We will talk about this little series that's taking place. It's been interesting. 9 wins to 2 for Texas A&M. We'll talk about that. You're listening to Tyler Head, Captain Dave Adair, and Bill Gunner. It is the Halftime Show. 12:16 on a Thursday. A little college football action tonight, Tyler. Not something to get you too revved up for, though. Troy and Old Dominion.
I will probably watch at least some portion of that game.
Oh, will you now?
Yeah. Listen, I'm a sicko, man. I watched, Toledo. Who was Toledo playing last night? It was blowout. It's with Miami of Ohio. Watched a little bit of that game last night. If football's on, I'm going to find a way to watch it. I'm going to watch what's probably going to end up being another pretty sad one-sided game of Thursday Night Football between the Jets and the Patriots, which you can listen to right here on 107.5 The Game, by the way, following Carolina Calls. If there's college football on, I'll find my way to it at some point.
I think we went down you and I went down a path the other day. I can't remember if I was doing this with you or not on air, and we'll circle back to it in a few weeks. Where do you start to rate Drake May now in NFL quarterbacks?
He's up there towards the top. He might win the MVP this year.
Just saying.
Our previous generation of NFL had Brady versus Manning. Maybe we're in for Danny Dimes versus Drake May for years to come. I don't know.
It's not going to carry too far away. But no, we'll get into that. Coming up on Saturday, South Carolina and Texas A&M. What do you remember? 803-404-6100. You're a little bit more of an outsider, so you can view this with an unbiased lens.
Sure.
2014, A&M actually came into the league in 2012.
Yep.
But in 2014, they come to Columbia. It was supposed to be a really cool matchup. The SEC Network was really debuting. They had just done the Spurrier promo or the Spurrier documentary the night before. It was an early kick, Tyler. I'll tell you that. And it was hot.
Yep.
I mean, hot. And it was an early kick. And A&M absolutely dismantled the South Carolina defense. And it feels like ever since that game, South Carolina's always been playing catch-up with Texas A&M.
Yeah, no, I watched every snap of that game. I was very excited for it. I remember because we had DirecTV at that time, and DirecTV was one of the last ones to sign on for the SEC Network because it had debuted, I think, a week or two before. And, they'd just been running, studio programming and documentaries and stuff like that. But they were building up, all right, first game, Thursday afternoon, because I think it was like a 6 o'clock kick between South Carolina and Texas A&M. Of course, Carolina had been coming off of the 11-win seasons. Listen, Johnny Football is legitimately one of my favorite college football players to ever watch. So I watched a lot of A&M football in 2012 and 2013 when they came into the league. So I was like, man, what's it going to be like without Johnny Football now? What's Kenny Hill going to be like at quarterback? I didn't expect him to do what he did to Carolina, but I remember watching every snap of that game and just quite frankly, being mesmerized that A&M was doing that to South Carolina. Now, I guess at the time, nobody knew that was kind of where things would start to fall off, and Spurrier would obviously end up leaving about a year and a half later, or season and a half later, I guess. But, yeah, I do remember that game very, very well.
Yeah, I mean, again, that was the starting point for this series, and that was an ugly night. We had heard all off season that basically the loss of Jadeveon Clowney wasn't going to be that big of a deal, that South Carolina was prepared to handle it. They were going to more of a 3-4 defense to begin with. There was all these kind of things that were being said. And also at that time, South Carolina was trying to replace defensive backs.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember, I think it was Al Harris maybe and Chris Lamons, or maybe it was just Chris Lamons. They were trying to, Wesley Green was another one. They were trying to get them into school. And you didn't get them in like in January. Of course, you didn't have as many early enrollees, but they struggled. They struggled to get people, the defensive backs, into school to replace everybody they needed to replace. And I say all that because then you go out, and Al Harris Jr. and that whole group, they just got lit up like a Christmas tree. It was as ugly as could be. South Carolina threw a couple haymakers themselves back with Dylan Thompson and Nick Jones, but it was irrelevant. And that was a game that, quite honestly, Tyler, I don't know if you'd been to Williams-Brice Stadium beforehand. It sucked and took the aura out of Sandstorm and out of Steve Spurrier. I will go back. That was the official end of the Steve Spurrier run. You can point to a few other games, the Kentucky game in which South Carolina had the lead and JoJo Kemp is trying to come out of the game, and they stay in the game, stay in the game. You can point to the Tennessee blown game. You can point to Clemson beating them at the end of the year with Deshaun Watson on one knee. That Texas A&M game took all the aura out of everything that South Carolina had become under Steve Spurrier. and they obviously never recovered. They're going to be 7-6 that year, and then we know what happened the next year. But it's been a strange series in that manner, in that the games are typically somewhat competitive, while on the same hand not being competitive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and again, you just look at the past handful of years here where Carolina wins 24-10 back in 2022 with Leggett, when Leggett ran the opening kickoff back. Was it 31-17, 31-14 in A&M the next year? And then last year, Carolina, it was a tie game at halftime, but Carolina blew their doors off in the second half and ran away with it. And I think you also probably for a period of time looked at these two programs as not being that far apart from each other, because again, we made the joke that A&M always ends up being 8-4, and Carolina's had its ups and downs over the past decade since A&M's joined the league, but they've had the same kind of good seasons that A&M's had. Neither team's ever made the playoff or the conference championship in that window since A&M has joined the conference. But now it kind of seems like going into this weekend, these two programs couldn't really be farther apart, with one team being undefeated and almost a lock for the playoff, especially if they win this weekend, and one just trying to stay relevant enough to make a bowl game.
Yeah, just to go back, to give you the rundown, 11 games played, started in 2014. The first one we know was the 52-28. But after that, it was a run of relatively close games. One of the first games, not the first, but one of the first games, I think it was the second game, after Steve Spurrier left, South Carolina went out to College Station and lost 35-28 on Halloween afternoon. That was a game, I believe that was the Kyler Murray first start game.
Okay.
Perry Orth had a long run in that ball game. South Carolina's in the game at the very end and not able to pull it off. The next year, in Will Muschamp's first year, they score early. A.J. Turner goes around the left end and goes about 70 yards for a touchdown. South Carolina jumps on A&M, and then A&M just kind of pulled away, but it was still a pretty close game, 24-13. A&M scored late to kind of go away. The next year, they go to College Station. Will Muschamp's second year, South Carolina's got the lead. Jake Bentley had some mistakes, but played a decent game. South Carolina blew a fourth-quarter lead and lost 24-17 in College Station. The following year here in Columbia, another relatively close one. South Carolina scored late to make it look a little bit better than it was, but 26-23. Then you went on that string of blowouts, the dark ages, if you will, 2019, 2020, and 2021, 30-6, 48-3, and 44-14, before South Carolina claiming 2 out of the last 3.
Yeah, and obviously both of those coming at home. So you're still looking for your first victory at College Station, which again is going to be a tough challenge. And we were actually joking a little bit earlier that I don't know if you've caught on to the Twitter trend of this becoming the biggest rivalry in all of sports this week. Are you familiar with this?
I am not.
It's kind of one of those things that like everybody's kind of running with the joke, which I appreciate, because again, and we ran the Twitter poll the other day. Do you think A&M is considered a rival? And 90% of people said no. But there's this certain sphere of Twitter that when this game is being talked about this week, it's being positioned as the biggest rivalry in all sports. Don't disrespect the bottom trophy and top 3 rivalry in all of sports and all those kind of things. And I can appreciate people having some fun with it because, again, it's forced rivalry at the end of the day, right? Like Carolina, Arkansas made a ton of sense because they both came in the conference together. Right. They played each other every single year. Boom, duh. Why wouldn't they do that? And it would only have made sense when A&M and Missouri came in and said, hey, these two teams are going to play each other every single year. And for some reason, the SEC has said, hey, wait a minute, why don't we cross this to where two teams that are probably about as far apart from each other can be in the SEC, and Carolina and A&M are going to play for this trophy from a guy that fought in the Alamo that was born in Carolina, and now you're rivals. Like, it just does it and you can correct me on this, but I just don't feel like it's ever had that juice to it of feeling like an actual rivalry.
No, it hasn't, but that's again also because that first game was such a blowout, and then when A&M gets rolling there and they win the first 7 in a row, first 6, they win the first 6. It's or I guess what is it? They won the first. They won the first 8. They won the first 8.
It's been back forth.
Yeah, and that's to your point there. And again, that string of games in 19, 20, and 21 that were just demolishings. I was out in College Station for the 30-6 game that famously Will Muschamp kicked a field goal to make sure they didn't get shut out, and then was able to get the second one in at the buzzer. The COVID year here in Columbia was an absolute disaster, 48-3. And then Shane Beamer's first year, I was actually in Vegas, and that was pretty much a disaster as well, 44-14. So, but it's kind of like Missouri's developed a little bit more juice, but you're right. Now, for the record, this will be the 12th time they meet. They are slated to meet again next year.
Yes.
A&M will come here to Columbia next year. We don't know the date on that just yet. So they're not taking Texas A&M off the schedule. So if you want to make it a little bit of a rivalry, okay, but you got to start winning some of these games.
Yeah, and obviously, again, A&M seems like it's a program that is kind of ascending to higher heights than they've ever had, than they've been in the SEC. So you obviously don't want to keep falling behind. And my goodness, if you pulled off a big upset this weekend, that would be huge for your season, and obviously create a lot of disruption for what A&M is obviously attempting to do. But yeah, for at least next year, you do continue this rivalry a little bit longer. But then after that, it's going to be a little more sparse seeing your usual foe.
Yeah, what about it? I think how's it going to be once every 2 years?
It'll basically be once every 2 years because you'll rotate different teams every single year.
And again, I'll say this, if there wasn't a lot going on, I will encourage you. College Station is one of the best road trips in all of the SEC. That was an absolute, we flew into Houston, we drove up the interstate there, rented a Tahoe and drove up and had a blast. They've got some good food options. They got a good little tailgating scene. I thought the people were extra friendly. They might have known they were about to blow out Will Muschamp, but they were still extra friendly. It was a fantastic trip aside from that actual football game. The stadium is ridiculous. I mean, I've been in big stadiums. There's something about Kyle Field that is just on a whole nother level of large and ridiculous.
What is it like encountering the Yell leaders in person? Well, what is that?
Stayed away.
Stayed away,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was having too much fun with just entertaining myself.
You didn't go to midnight Yell practice the night before?
We were far too involved in other activities that particular night. 803-404-6100. We come back. We'll get back into a few other things here and look at the Texas A&M offense. That, to me, is the key. I don't know what we're going to get from the defense. Excuse me, I don't know what we're going to get from the South Carolina offense. I feel like I can gauge what we're going to get from the South Carolina defense, and we'll talk about that matchup with Marcel Reed and several other players when we come back. You're listening to Tyler Head, Captain David Ayer, Bill Gunner. It is the halftime show. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, where for over 30 years they've been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. And what's important to know is it's not just here in Columbia. It's in Aiken. It's in Charleston. It's in Myrtle Beach and Florence. Wherever you are, Greenville or Spartanburg, they roof the entire state. So wherever you're listening this afternoon in this great state we live in, Mid-State Roofing is ready to help you. And they are there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You heard that right. Leaks, well, they don't know what time it is. So they may occur at 11 p.m. or 1 a.m. And if that's the case, guess what? Mid-State Roofing has an on-call technician ready to help you, whether it's your home or your business. Just give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. Again, that's 803-356-1919. Call Mid-State Roofing today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. 12:34 as we roll along on a Thursday, talking South Carolina and Texas A&M. Anything you hear that you want to weigh in on, you can give us a shout. 803-404-6100 is how you can do that and give us your thoughts on this game. And one of the big pieces, Tyler, is going to be how South Carolina defends Marcel Reed. There's some who think Marcel Reed, you can tell me, I haven't seen him mentioned as prominently in the Heisman Trophy race, whereas a few people are saying, he might actually need to be in the top 2 or 3.
Yeah, so he's got the 3rd best odds right now, according to FanDuel, to win it. And, like a lot of guys, and I said this last week up until, Fernando Mendoza had the touchdown pass at the end of the game against Penn State, but most of these guys hadn't really had their wow Heisman moment as of yet. You could maybe say some of the runs he had against LSU kind of stood out, but nothing that really went across the entire football landscape. And he's got opportunities to do that against Carolina and certainly Texas coming up in a couple weeks. But his numbers are really good. Obviously, I think he's somebody that, which you can also make this argument about guys like Mendoza and Julian saying, he's benefited from having a lot of help around him too, because he's got a ton of weapons, got a great offensive line, good running game, all those kind of things. And that's not a deterrent. It just is what it is. Where I wouldn't say he's a favorite to win the Heisman Trophy, but he's got a good shot at being in New York if he keeps playing the way that he's playing.
He is coming along. Now, last year, he had kind of had his breakout game right before South Carolina.
Right.
Against LSU. And so he comes in here, and he was kind of becoming a hot commodity then. Had a pretty good first half. South Carolina really shut him down in the second half. Here's Clayton White yesterday. This is him talking about Marcel Reed and all the things that Reed can do.
I think Marcel does. Over the years past, I love giving respect to quarterbacks that I've seen that improve their game. I feel like Marcel has definitely done a great job of just trying to be more complete. And obviously when he takes off, he's definitely a threat that can take it all the way. He took one against, I think that was LSU for 50+. We got to do a great job of understanding his game and understanding how they like to use him, and definitely do a great job of understanding just the type of player that he is and what he likes to do.
So that's going to, I would assume, you got to have a spy. And
yes.
We did the snap count last week, and it's Justin O that is kind of the guy who's getting the most snaps.
Never leaves the field.
Huh?
Never leaves the field.
Right. So I would assume he's the guy that if you're going to do this, you're going to use him as the spy.
Probably so. And that's the tricky thing about Marcel Reed. And, going into the offseason, working on him as more of a passer was certainly something that they were going to focus on, and that's certainly been the case. And he has the ability to use his legs, and much like the North Sellers, when the opportunities are there, he will take them, but he's got a really good arm too. So he may sit back there and just pick you apart through the air. If you want to give him green grass to run, he'll use that, but that's not necessarily his MO, is take off running. He's very good about sitting back there, gets protected really well by his offensive line, which helps, and trying to hurt you through the air more often than not.
His stats on the season passing-wise, he is just shy of 2,200 yards, 2,193, 19 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and you just mentioned it, only 7 sacks for Marcel Reed. Running the football, 69 rushes on the season, 378 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He's tied for the team lead with Le'Veon Moss for the team lead in rushing touchdowns. Moss has 6, and Reuben Owens, who leads the team in yardage. They got a 3-headed monster that South Carolina will have to slow down. And Reuben Owens, who's run for 542 yards and 5 touchdowns. Le'Veon Moss at 389 and 6 touchdowns. And Marcel Reed again, 69 rushes for 378.
And Le'Veon Moss will be out this week, and he was out on the availability report last night. It's been out for the last couple of weeks, but Reuben Owens has stepped in and done a really nice job as the lead running back there. And Marcel Reed ran for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns against LSU a couple weeks ago, so you always have to account for that. And something else that Clayton White touched on yesterday was how good he is at running those RPO type of concepts. And not every quarterback can do those kind of things, but because you have to be really good when it comes to reading the defense and making the right decision.
So, Dave, let's listen to Clayton White talk about that. This is clip number 38, if you don't mind. This is Clayton White talking about Marcel Reed and the Texas A&M RPO attack. Here's what Clayton White had to say yesterday.
Discipline definitely the key to the game in regards of, it's basically like option football. You have to really protect the run inside on the perimeter, and also the perimeter passes, and then the quarterback. So that, to me, that makes it feel like option football, and discipline and technique and understanding your initial assignment I think is the most important part. And then also understand that there are secondary things you have to read and react to. And we just have to be great at those fundamentals. Those are just base fundamentals, football, and just technique and understanding, read and react football, and leverage and angles and understanding where your teammates are. But you hit the key word with discipline, and I do believe that's going to be key.
Hit the key word with discipline there.
Yeah.
Tyler.
No, you're going to have to play very sound football. And we've had this conversation about South Carolina's defense multiple times this year, like when you played against Vanderbilt, a team that does that spread option that can hurt you in a variety of ways against a very good quarterback within that system in Diego Pavia. Trinidad Chambliss was regarded as one of the best RPO quarterbacks in college football heading into their matchup a couple weeks ago. And while he didn't kill them through the air, they did run all over South Carolina. So I imagine you're going to have to do the same kind of things in terms of what you're accounting for and what you're trying to do defensively to slow down Marcel Reed in this offense. Because, again, they're not one-dimensional. They can hurt you in a variety of ways on the ground, through the air, with Marcel Reed using his feet. And, again, they're going to have the work cut out for them this weekend.
Now, I will say this. I feel like the defense has held its own throughout the season. We kind of talked about this.
Kept them in games.
Missouri and Alabama, you go to the fourth quarter with the lead. LSU, you were 7 points down. Mississippi, was it 21-14 or 2014?
It was, oh, God.
Was it?
You were only down one
2014.
Score.
I think it was 2014.
It's 2014. You were down one score.
Yeah, they kicked a field goal to make it 23. So you've been in these games. In Oklahoma, you were only down 10, which I'm not trying to pile on too much, a confident offense.
But you were only down one score until later in the third quarter.
Right.
So the defense was doing its job keeping you in this game. It's just the offense was not giving you anything to help.
So I really do feel with another bye week, South Carolina comes in here, should be a fairly, as you would expect, a fairly well-rested team. And I'm interested to see the continued development of this defense. They've got some players. And I want to kind of see, all right, how do they respond on a bye week? Are they still locked in and engaged?
Yeah, and that's, again, a compliment point we can give to Beamer teams is we've never seen them play uninterested football. Even when it didn't seem like they were playing for a whole lot, a couple years ago they did give their best effort each and every time they went out there, and I don't doubt that's going to be any kind of issue coming up on Saturday as well. And I believe this defense, once again, will have the ability to keep you in this game, maybe not necessarily with the lead, but within striking distance of A&M. I just don't know, especially now as we transition to a new offensive coordinator, I don't know what the heck the offense is going to be like and if they're going to do enough to be able to have you in this game in the very last couple of minutes to be able to pick up a win.
We mentioned those running backs. Reuben Moss, the guy you got to stop. Here is Clayton White yesterday talking about stopping the Texas A&M rushing attack.
We have to do a great job of tackling one. We have to do a great job of leveraging our gaps. The running backs, they only have 20 negative yards total as a total running back group. So the guys that touch the ball the most. So they're doing a great job of falling forward. That's how you average 5 yards a carry. Just don't fall, they're getting positive yards. So we got to find a way to get in the backfield to get them some negative yards to knock that average down. But the talented backs that fall forward, they do a good job up front and getting the hat on the hat. But we got to do a great job of changing the math up front to try to get some TFLs and to get those numbers a little off track.
That's going to be the big look. I think South Carolina's pass defense will semi-hold its own.
Mm-hmm.
It's stopping the run because at times, we saw what Mississippi last time out was able to do and gash them with the run.
LSU ran all over them pretty well too. So this isn't a team that's quite as equipped to be able to stop the run. So you're hoping that tomorrow's a better day, and obviously hoping that the extra week off, an extra week to prepare, hopefully helps them out in that regard. Because if A&M is able to run on you the way that they want to run on you, then all of the aspects of their offense should probably fall in line as well.
803-404-6100. A couple of y'all weighing in on Texas A&M. Let me go back to a couple of these here real quick. Ken weighing in said, Kyle Field is insane. My first college game playing for the Citadel back in 06 was against A&M when Ryan Tannehill was still a wide receiver. I just remember it being so hot and everyone in the stands wearing white shorts, swaying back and forth. Players were getting motion sickness.
Probably felt like you were in the middle of a cult meeting or something like that, watching that go on around you.
Uncomfortable. Another text always in says, I remember the hype for that 2014 A&M game, and that loss hurt for sure. Yeah, it was hurtful. And then another texter Al Harris and Rico McWilliams still give me heartburn to this day. And I remember the announcer saying, Johnny who? Kenny Hill. Yeah, that was
Kenny Trill after that game.
Kenny Trillhill. Yeah, Kenny Heisman for about, 5 weeks?
They trademarked his name, and then he didn't start halfway through the season.
Yeah, it was a wild little experience. 803-404-6100. We'll come back. Pat Narduzzi's not worried about Notre Dame. Not even in the least. We'll explain and let you listen. You're listening to the Halftime Show. 803-404-6100, how you can weigh in. We mentioned it's going to be a big weekend of college football. It'll get going nice and early on Saturday with some really good games. One of those games being, I want to call it a playoff elimination game. Pat Narduzzi does not see it that way.
Well, it's elimination game for one side at least, I think.
Well, okay. Notre Dame is at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's number 22 in the country. Pittsburgh is 7-2 in the country. Now, here's why it wouldn't be an elimination game for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, this is obviously not a conference game. Pittsburgh's 5-1. They're one of the group of 5 teams that have one loss in the ACC.
Right.
I still don't know how the whole win-loss tiebreaker thing would shake out right now. We got time to figure that out. But conceivably, if Pittsburgh were to lose, with 3 losses, they would be out of the college football playoff, but not out of the ACC standings, which then they could win and get themselves in.
Right.
Pat Narduzzi has already taken the pressure off of his kids. Here's Pat Narduzzi talking about this Notre Dame game. I don't really care. He'll be gladly get beat by 100 points as long as they win the ACC. Listen to Pat Narduzzi here. This is from Monday.
Do you feel like this is a must-win for this team when it comes to something?
Absolutely not. It is not an ACC game. I'm glad you brought that up. It's not an ACC game. I gladly get beat 103 or 110 to 10 in that game. They can put 100 up on us as long as we win the next 2 after that. But again, our focus is on Notre Dame and getting as many wins as we can.
I think he contradicted himself. It's like, well, it's not a must-win game. I'd take getting beat by 100 points, but our focus is on Notre Dame.
Well, I get it. You don't want to lose, but his point is valid. I mean, I remember, Tyler, years ago, I can't remember what year it was, 2011, 2012, Coastal was still in the FCS, and they came in here with Joe Moglia as head coach, and it was going to get out of hand. Spurrier was running it. Final score ended up being 70-10. But at about halftime, Coastal was having a great year. Mm-hmm. And at halftime, Moglia looked around and was like, we got to go to the FCS playoff. Get our guys, get the starters out. Backups, towel boy, get in there. Get hit. Take it. And I'm not saying that's what Pat Narduzzi is going to do, but I do get what he's saying. Like, sure. I think he's realistic that even winning this game and winning out and being 10-2 but losing in the ACC championship game doesn't get them in the playoff.
Yeah, and again, I get the premise of what he's trying to say there. Probably could have worded that a little bit differently because you don't want anybody in your team thinking, oh, hey, I can just, go through the motions this weekend because you do want to try and win. And
they top 10. Is it top 10?
Yeah, they're top 10.
Yeah.
So it'd be a big win, and not that I think it matters. It would bolster your resume a little bit, though. Again, I think their only path to get in is via the ACC championship game. But he's right. I mean, at the end of the day, the ACC is looking like a one-bid league. Unless just a ton of chaos happens and Miami can squeak in as an at-large, if they continue to win out, I think whoever wins the conference championship is going to get their way in, and Georgia Tech and Pitt and Louisville
and SMU.
You
have one that you're pulling for, like low-key pulling for, that you would like to see get it, like a Georgia Tech or...
Well, I've never pulled for Georgia Tech, but...
good point.
But there is a doomsday scenario in which Duke could win the ACC at 8-4, and the conference gets shut out of the playoffs completely. My morbid curiosity is almost cheering for that at this point.
Okay. I would be
because remember, it's not the 5 highest ranked Power 4 champions. It's highest ranked champions in general.
Okay.
South Florida's ranked. James Madison could be ranked by the end of the year. So instead of one spot being taken up by G5, could be 2. If you like chaos, root for Duke these next couple of weeks.
It's kind of interesting. Pat Narduzzi is like pointing at the conference championship game, like, yeah, that's where we want to go. I feel like if you're in the SEC, you're pointing at the conference championship game, like, no.
Yeah. Well, and
no, we're good.
Last year, all the teams that won conference championships didn't make it out of the second round. Right. All the teams that got buys didn't make it. Penn State played in the conference championship and made it all the way to the semifinals. Same thing with Texas, obviously, but and it's only a 1-year sample size, so I don't know the value quite yet. It might benefit you to play one less game, to be able to sit at home.
You got to wonder about it. I mean, you do have to legitimately wonder about it because the SEC championship and the ACC championship, for that matter, is looking kind of interesting. The Big Ten championship is looking like Ohio State and Indiana. That'd be phenomenal.
Well, they're at that point they'd be playing for seeding, and they both might still be top 4 seeds regardless. So it's like, okay, what's the real value here besides picking your geographical preference as the number 1 overall team?
Right. I don't know, and so it's these conference championship games are going to kind of get really, really interesting just from the standpoint of how do teams view them as we continue to learn the new landscape of the college football playoff. That to me is going to be kind of really interesting. We'll continue on hour 2 on the way. We'll get back into some national college football. Brian Kelly and LSU, are they about to completely change the coaching market? Might just actually happen. We'll tell you how. Bill Gunner for the Mortgage Guru, Jacob Crowder and First Palmetto Bank. Here we are heading toward it 2026. What are you doing with your home? Have you even looked? I mean, have you even looked at your monthly mortgage payment? Have you looked at what refinancing could do? Maybe you're looking around the house and you've wanted to remodel or fix a few things up and you need a little extra cash. The guy to call is Jacob Crowder. He's the mortgage guru for a reason. And if you don't make that phone call, you won't know what options are available to you through First Palmetto Bank and Jacob Crowder. So call today, 803-719-1005. Again, that's 803-719-1005. You give Jacob Crowder a call today. You speak with him. Maybe you're looking to buy a home. Maybe you're looking to build a home. First Palmetto Bank has a great no-nonsense construction loan that could be good for you and your family. But you got to call, 803-719-1005. Tell him Bill Gunner sent you. 1 o'clock on a Thursday. Tyler Head, Captain Dave Adair, Bill Gunner, as we get you set again. Reminder tonight, we have Carolina Calls with Shane Beamer and Todd Ellis over at Backstreet's Bar and Grill. And following that, Thursday Night Football, Jets and Patriots. Ugh.
Have you seen what the Patriots are wearing? The nor'easter uniforms?
No, I haven't.
Look pretty neat.
You're telling me to look
Again,
it up. That's what I feel.
I'm a uniform nerd.
I am too. And our constant texter co-pilot, he isn't a uniform nerd, nor Easter jersey. Is this going to be something I'm going to want to collect?
Maybe. I think it looked pretty cool. You don't like that?
I'm not. No, I don't hate it. I'm just not sure if I like it or if I dislike.
I like the white helmet. I think it's a good look.
Oh, I'm looking at like that I could buy. Let me see if they've got the.
So this is the.
You got the whole thing.
There you go. There's the whole thing. That's
snazzy.
Drake May wearing. I don't know.
All right, I'm in.
Listen, I'm colorblind. I don't know what color that jersey is.
It's like a. I don't know the official color of it, but it's a blue.
Okay.
It's a lighter blue.
Yeah.
It's not a baby blue, but it's a.
I gotcha.
I like it. I'm in. I'm in. I'll tune in just to watch the jersey for a minute.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing. If I had a bigger condo house, if I had a room, and I'm trying to actually set one up, that I could make kind of a sports room, helmets and like vintage jerseys is what I would collect.
Okay.
Like I would
That's
want
an expensive hobby.
Well, the radio industry is doing really well, Tyler.
That's right.
Really well. Isn't that right, Dave?
Well, Dave's the radio billionaire over there.
Dave, yeah, he's been around for a while. Were you listening, or
Did you hear us, Dave?
I was actually editing audio. But
The radio industry is lucrative, and you're a bustling billionaire over there.
Well, I don't know about bustling.
We're trying to hype you up, Dave. The women are listening.
Okay, bustling.
Bustling. If you see him out and about at the gym, ladies, you try and latch on to Captain Dave. Not only is he getting those muscles up, he's got money to burn. 803-404-6100, how you can do that. We've talked a little bit about South Carolina and Texas A&M. We'll continue discussing that. We'll also get back into a little bit more of what Clayton White had to say, and maybe let you listen to a little bit of what Joe D. Camillus had to say as well as we get ready for that. We've talked a little bit about the big picture college football with the playoffs coming up. Or we're getting closer. I shouldn't say coming up. They're coming up. But getting into more and more games, Tyler, and this is year 2 of the college football playoff. And I think we're learning and seeing, hey, November can become a lot more fun. Like, I don't know how we would view Georgia, Texas on Saturday with Texas being at 11. Like, would we be viewing that as like, all right, Texas can jump their way back in to the college football playoff if it was just a 4-team, or because it's now 12 teams, we kind of look at it and we're like, it's a bit of an elimination game for the Longhorns.
Yeah, it's almost kind of the reverse. If this was a 4-team playoff, we'd be talking about, hey, Georgia's got no margin for error here. They got to win out to keep themselves alive for a chance to make the top 4. But instead, we're talking about, okay, Texas, if they lose a third game, that's probably going to be it for them. So they have to go and win out, which would include beating Georgia and beating Texas A&M over the course of the next 3 weeks to keep their playoff hopes alive. And again, maybe it's just from the perspective of doing this job and having to come in here and talk about these things. But I like having all these different webs of storylines and following this team and that team and, comparing the resumes of like 12 through 15 as opposed to like 4 through 6, right? Because those resumes were a little bit more perfect, right? A lot of times you had undefeated teams, one-loss teams, and it made it easier to compare those teams. But I do enjoy the debate of like, okay, well, this team's 2 losses are better than that team's 2 losses, or this team has 2 wins, gets top 10 teams, that one only has 1. Like, I enjoy the discourse around it.
And I'm just going to give you another one on Saturday. It's a bit of a kind of a consistent elimination game, and that would be the game early on again at noon between South Florida and Navy. Can Navy jump up? Game will be in Annapolis. Can Navy jump up? Looks, and Navy's 5-1 in the American standings. Now, they would have to get into the rankings. They'd have to pass South Florida. There's some caveats to all of that, right? Like, it's not just as simple as, okay, Navy wins the game and they're in. But, Tyler, you look at it, Navy right now, even Navy 5-1 in the American, 7-2 overall. And their 2 losses, by the way, I mean, one's to Notre Dame, the other one's to North Texas. Those aren't bad losses. They have lost their last 2.
Yeah.
But if they can run the table out, beat South Florida, Memphis, and Army, they've got a chance to creep past James Madison, and obviously they'd move past South Florida and get that G5 spot in the ranking. Got a chance.
They do have a chance, and again, I will always root for a service academy making the college football playoff because I do want to see it one day, and Navy still controls their own destiny. Now, again, they stepped up their competition level in the past couple weeks, and we saw what happened. So we'll see how Saturday fares. That's a really good South Florida team, and again, they're obviously in the driver's seat when it comes to the being the lead in the G5 in the college ball playoff as of right now. But that American, we talk about the ACC being wide open. The American's pretty close because they have 3 teams with only 1 loss as of right now in conference play, and all those teams still with the opportunity to get themselves to the conference championship and likely take a spot in the college football playoff by virtue of winning it. So, yeah, now you are caring about conferences that you probably weren't paying as much attention to a couple years ago outside of, hey, like when Cincinnati made the college football playoff as an undefeated team out of the American. You probably paid attention then, but unless you're just a deep in the weeds sicko like some of us, you're probably not watching a lot of American football. But if you know the opportunity to make the playoff is on the line for one or both teams, you're probably going to check it out.
You say Cincinnati. It just when you said that, my mind instantly jumps. Boy, we thought Luke Fickell would be better at Wisconsin, didn't we?
Well, he's going to get another opportunity. He's got another year. And apparently they're going to pour more resources in, so we'll see how that works. But, it seemed like what he did at Cincinnati getting into the playoff would set him up perfectly to go into a place like Wisconsin that has had a lot of success historically and go there and do some good things, and it just hasn't happened. Now, he tried to change the offensive philosophy, and that backfired on him, so I guess you're still reeling from that. But, we're expecting more.
We've also talked about last night's 81-61 victory for South Carolina basketball over Presbyterian. The name of the game is winning. I don't know if South Carolina has the luxury of getting all these style points, Tyler. I know that like Ken Palm and all that, they do factor in a little bit of margin of victory. It counts in just a tad. I'm not real worried about it. Just win the basketball games and learn about your team because I'll admit, last night was not pretty. It wasn't an attractive game. South Carolina wins by 20, and you got some performances from some other guys. Hayden Simeon off the bench last night, very, very good, and he's learning to play a role. I'll continue to be interested in his development right now because the post players for this team is what is extremely, extremely lacking, especially because I'm looking not at Radford on next Tuesday. I'm looking at SEC play.
Yeah, well, and you're going to get, Butler and Northwestern in the next couple weeks. That's going to be a little bit of tick up in competition that should give us a pretty good litmus test. That and Clemson and Virginia Tech as well a little bit later on in December to kind of really see where this team stands. But you're right, Hayden Simeon is somebody that Lamont Paris has talked glowingly about through these first couple games. For one thing, the energy that he brings. Goes out there, high-energy guy, and, he doesn't necessarily have to have the ball in his hands, scoring to have an effect. He's down there by the rim, blocking shots, having an effect, and obviously playing his role well so far. Now, again, it's against 3 teams that, aren't probably going to be sniffing the NCAA tournament anytime soon, but nevertheless, you went out there and did your job, and we talked about that a lot, that no matter what the competition level is, when you go out there and do your job, that instills confidence in you, and I like what I've seen out of him, out of Eli Ellis. Talk about Grant Polk and the good night that he had last night. So a couple of these young guys really coming in and making an impact right away.
803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in on the basketball game from last night. Again, still a few defensive issues that they're going to need to clear up, but you've got, again, the non-conference schedule that you can continue to work on it. My question to you would be, have you seen improvement or have you seen anything from game? Because this is what we're looking for with this non-conference, right?
Sure.
This is what we're going to judge them by. Obviously, wins. You got to win. But part of this non-conference, when you play the 8, in particular, cream puffs that they're going to play, and then you got, as you mentioned it, Butler, Northwestern, Clemson, and Virginia Tech. But in those 8 games, you're looking for them to be better from the 1st of November to the end of December. Well, we've only played 3, so still small sample size. But do you see improvement, or do you still see the same team? I know it's early, but that's the question to me.
I can't sit here and definitively say I've seen anything overall improve because, again, it is just short sample size. But I will say I was encouraged by the fact that when what your bread and butter through the first 2 games had been the outside shots wasn't falling, you were able to adjust and start scoring in different ways, because that's probably going to be a common theme for this team this year. You're going to have those nights where, yeah, you may bank in 18 three-pointers and go toe-to-toe with the Kentuckys or Auburns or Floridas of the world, but there's going to be other nights where you might be in a dogfight with a Vanderbilt or a Mississippi State or something like that, where you're going to have to find different ways to get to the basket. So it was nice to see them make that adjustment early in the game last night and start scoring those different ways. So that's a positive I can take away from the first 3 games so far.
Again, 803-404-6100. That's a little basketball talk for you there. And obviously, we covered a little bit yesterday on the South Carolina women blowing the doors off of the Clemson women in that particular contest. And the women will be back in action late Saturday night. We'll have the pregame for you right here on 107.5 The Game. Women's basketball against Southern Cal, the Battle of the Real SC. 8:30 pregame, 9 o'clock tip.
This was supposed to be a much more anticipated matchup prior to the season, or really when this was announced last year, because you're going to have Juju Watkins, and you're going to have Chloe Kitts, and you're going to have Ashlyn Watkins, and now none of them are obviously playing as a rest. Still a really good team. Like Southern Cal is going to be a team that, you may end up seeing once again in the postseason in terms of pursuing a national championship, but the name recognition on both rosters is not quite what we thought it was going to be heading into this matchup.
Not what you were hoping for.
Not what you were hoping for.
Not what you were hoping for.
And that, not quite frankly, not what the TV executives were hoping for, because you're trying to pull eyes away from college football on a very important Saturday, and having some star power in that game could have gone a long way.
Yeah, 9 o'clock is that late tip time, and that means it'll be going against, just glancing real quick,
Georgia and Texas, for one.
Second half, too.
Yeah, second half.
Which could be good or bad.
It could. We'll
be
see.
good or bad. But I got to admit also, I think it's more South Carolina and Southern Cal fans that will be tuning in than a lot of the country. 803-404-6100. That's how you can weigh in on any of that. We'll come back and discuss a little bit more on the big picture of college football teams facing elimination this weekend. Who is in the most danger? We'll go through a little bit of the list and get you ready. You're listening to Tyler Head, Bill Gunner, Captain Dave Adair. It is the Halftime Show. Well, it's after 1 o'clock, so I can officially deem it my weekend.
Well, I thought your weekend started at noon.
Yeah, normally, technically, I started at about 3 once I get out of here. You know,
I feel like you keep moving the goalposts on this weekend
it depends
thing,
on
man.
how. Well, I just told you off air. It depends on. It really, truthfully, depends on how I feel because, like, if there's a good Thursday night game,
Okay.
I do wake up with a little more juice, with a little more jazz to like. All right, and it doesn't have to be a great Thursday night game. It can be Coastal and Appalachian State. It can be Coastal Carolina. It can be Appalachian State. Either of those. Dow Loggins, the connection there. I like those. Coastal, I like them. You know, if it's an ACC game or we get some kind of Big 12 or whatever. I wake up with a little more juice. Or if we get like a decent NFL game.
Okay.
I can wake
like
up.
The Chiefs and Lions played on the Thursday night. Like, okay, all right, I get it. That's fun. I made the mistake this morning of waking up and for like a whole minute thinking it was Friday.
Oh, no.
You ever done that before?
Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah, I was like, okay, all right, last day of the week, let's get through this, and it's the weekend. And then I was like, oh, man. And look, I get it. I'm a sports talk radio host. I'm not digging ditches here. I can't cry from the yacht. But
All right, Kirby, settle down.
But I think we all have those moments like, dang, 2 more days of work instead.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done that a few times. Speaking of you, shoot, buddy. You ain't got 2 days because you got Gamecocks game day on 7 a.m.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's gonna be an early morning. But I'll put it in perspective. From doing 6 hours of radio every single day, busting out a 2-hour pregame show, pretty light work.
Okay, all right. Well, don't forget about that as you get up and get ready on Saturday morning for South Carolina and Texas A&M. We'll have it for you right here. Tyler and you said Terry this week?
Yes.
Is your expectation?
Yes,
all right.
that is what I've been told. He's supposed to be here.
Tyler and Terry will get you set starting at 7 a.m. Gamecocks game day right here on 107.5 The Game. South Carolina looking to stay bowl eligible, to stay within the opportunity of being bowl eligible.
Yeah.
Do we? You know what? I'm going to ask this tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. I want y'all to think about it. You don't have to text in just yet. This is how I feel, and I've started trying to be very clear on this, so I don't put words in Tyler's mouth or anybody else on this program. And if somebody gets upset, the orange-clad folk in the upstate, if they get upset, it's on Bill Gunner. It's not on anybody else. You can hit me up at Twitter at Will, W-I-L Gunner, G-U-N-T-R. You can go on Tiger Illustrated or whatever and yell at me. I feel like if South Carolina wins this game tomorrow, Saturday, and I get it, they're 19. I'm looking at ESPN Bet right now. They're 19.5-point underdogs. You know where I'm kind of leaning with my pick.
Yes.
If South Carolina wins, they will win the next 2.
I mean,
I will actually call that. I don't know where they'll be at mentally. You can't judge that in this day and age, in my opinion.
Sure. With
the portal and with NIL and everything. They win this game Saturday, and it's a tall task, and I'm going to probably be a massive homer tomorrow, and I'm going to pick them to win. If they win, they will beat Coastal, and they will beat Clemson at home. And they will be 6-6.
Listen, I can very much see that.
Yeah, and we will have to spend our December prepping you for the Gasparilla Godzilla Bowl or whatever.
Listen, you want to play UConn in Tampa on December the 19th? Let's go.
I don't want. We don't want none of us. Maybe we do want UConn again.
I was going to say, I know I just brought up memories of that Papa John's Bowl, so I do apologize about that. But yeah, listen, if you beat the number 3 team in the country on the road in a venue that you've never won at before, heck yeah, that's going to instill a lot of juice in this team. And again, you'd still be playing for bowl eligibility at that point. Coastal, tricky Coastal team. Don't count your chickens before they hatch, but I think you should be able to take care of them. And again, we'll see what shape Clemson's in by the time that game rolls around. It'll be a competitive game. Regardless of what happens on Saturday, Clemson-Carolina is going to be a competitive game. I expect to be a 4-quarter fight between 2 teams that aren't as good as we thought they were going to be in the regular season. But especially if Carolina wins on Saturday, I like their chances in that
I got a feeling that Clemson game is going to be, and I don't mean it for South Carolina's perspective, one team is going to be done. I think it's going to be a blowout.
You think so?
I'm not saying it's South Carolina. I will pick South Carolina, but it wouldn't surprise me as well to see Clemson come in here and win like 28-10. South Carolina win something like 27 to, the offense gets going. There's so many questions about South Carolina that you and I can only debate for the next 4.5 hours of this program until we actually see them run an offense on Saturday. So that kind of brings me to our next point. I'm kind of there to choose South Carolina to pull the upset. It's an 11 a.m. game out there, obviously noon here. South Carolina, this is offensive, but it's true. South Carolina's gotten so bad at 3-6. I think A&M is kind of looking past them a little bit. This seems like a letdown spot. They just came off of that Missouri game where everybody kind of built up Missouri and was like, hey, you're at Missouri, Eli Drinkowitz, Ahmad Hardy, yay. Well, I feel like you got this. And then, quite frankly, Samford next week, I feel like you might be able to catch A&M looking all the way to Texas on the 28th.
It's certainly possible. And again, and I know Elko, I appreciate the fact that he's done this. He keeps getting asked questions about the history of A&M, like, hey, years past, this team's done this, and this team's done that. He's like, I'm sick of talking about the past. We're 9-0 with the number 3 team in the country. Let's focus on that. I appreciate him doing that, but he's going to have to continue to answer those kind of questions. But, yeah, this is a unique spot for them to be in. I will say, if they beat Carolina this weekend, assuming Samford doesn't pull off the upset of the year, that should lock them into the playoff. Regardless of what happens against Texas, if they're 11-1, they'll be in the top 10. They'll be in the playoff. Now, yes, losing to Texas could prevent them from playing for the SEC title, which is still a goal that they have in front of them. But, like, the win this weekend locks them into the playoff, in my opinion. So I do think from that standpoint, they'll probably be locked in terms of, like, focused, because saying, hey, if we get through this, then we know we're at the very least going to be in the playoff. And if they were playing Texas, like, next week, then I could maybe buy the letdown spot a little bit more. I'm not sure if I say the same thing for them playing Texas 2 weeks from now.
They lost 17-7 last year. I think they want that revenge or whatever you want to call it. I don't know how much losing to South Carolina last year they have guys sitting on being like, oh, we got to get these guys. Maybe they do. Listen, when you get an early game like this, an 11 a.m. kickoff, to me, that favors the visiting team.
Mm-hmm.
The visiting team normally comes in with the juice. The home team has got to find the juice.
Sure.
It's not there normally, not always. It's not there with the crowd. But it may be A&M's a good crowd, but you got to think, they're going to be up to like 1 a.m. doing the stupid yell thing out there.
Yeah, did they not move yell practice up when it's a noon kick?
Tough. All
right, it's 9:30 yell this time because we got to be up early tomorrow.
I assume they don't. I don't know.
Though knowing A&M fans, there are a lot of them that probably already tailgating. They come in for yell practice, go back to tailgating, and, they just don't sleep.
Yeah, and so I'm telling you, I think the fact that South Carolina shows up, I'm fascinated. You know, we talked about this. Shane Beamer saying, well, we've tweaked the playbook a good bit. And then he told us, you kind of questioned, well, did they take plays out? He said, well, it's about the same number of plays. He told the media, not us. We
same total number of plays, maybe not the same exact plays.
That's my question.
Yeah.
I think you've got a chance. And again, I'm of the belief that Clayton White is going to put the defense in position to – they're going to give up some runs. They just do, okay? They're going to give up some play. They're going to miss some tackles. There's going to be a play where they sack Marcel in the Reed for a 5-yard, 6-yard loss. And on the very next play, Reuben Owens is going to run for 14 yards, and it's going to be 3rd and 2. And you're like, what happened here? That's just the way this thing is going to play out. But with all that being said, Tyler, if you make me pick one team this week, I would put, I'm being a homer, I know, I put A&M more so on the upset watch. Of course, I truthfully, looking at it, I don't know what other upsets I would actually pick.
Yeah. Well, and that's the beautiful thing about college football in general, but especially this season, because did anybody give Penn State a chance to take Indiana to the wire last week? And I get it. It was a home game for them, so that probably helps out a little bit.
Remember, I did.
Did you?
Remember? Yeah. And some guy yelled at me on our text message.
Okay, maybe you did, and maybe you're onto something. I don't know. But most people looked at that game and said, okay, Indiana should mop the floor with Penn State and move on to being 10-0 or whatever they are at this point in time. So nothing's impossible in this year of college football. And A&M's not had that, because here's the thing. Every single year, you can look at even the national championship winning teams. Last year, Ohio State tripped up against Michigan. I think 3 years ago when Georgia went wire-to-wire undefeated, they had a tough game on the road at Missouri. Every single good team has a sneaky, weird game at some point. Alabama had that against Carolina a couple weeks ago here on the road. A&M hasn't really had that this year. They've not had that sweated-out game against a team they really don't have any business having a four-quarter fight with. Had a sweated-out game against Notre Dame, but Notre Dame's top 10 team. They could be setting up for that this weekend. I don't know. I'm not saying your optimism is impossible, because nothing's impossible in college football now. I lean towards it probably not happening, but who knows?
Excuse me. I had to go back and look at when Arkansas scored, but I do remember Arkansas, that was a back-and-forth game. Arkansas scored in the fourth quarter with 11:30 to go to make it 38-35.
That's right.
And A&M had to go down and score. They scored about 6.5 left, and then Arkansas put a touchdown in with 10 seconds to go to lose 45-42. But we'll see. But, you look at the other games for the weekend, and you go, okay, who is playing that conceivably is even on what we would call upset alert? I mean, let's be honest. Texas is not on upset alert. They're a flat-out underdog in that game against Georgia. They are Georgia's almost a touchdown favorite. Again, I'm looking at ESPN bet 6.5 there. You talk about someone such as Alabama and Oklahoma. I believe Alabama's favored in that one by
their home team.
Alabama's by 6. Alabama's by almost a touchdown. I don't know why I was thinking it's 3.5. Alabama's favored. So you don't look at. I don't put Oklahoma on an upset. Texas Tech plays Central Florida. I don't do that. We'll go back through some of these. And we will get to that Brian Kelly thing. I want to get to that because firing with cause. Interesting. We'll talk about it. You're listening to Tyler Head, Bill Gunner, Captain David Adair. It is the Halftime Show. 1:35 on your Thursday. I got to remember. Tyler's now confused me. I got to remember it is indeed Thursday. So, but yeah, football tonight. Troy and Old Dominion. You got that going. I will give you real quick because we will not obviously get to it tomorrow because today's Thursday and Brian Edwards joins us on Friday.
Yep.
Let me go back real quick while we're doing this. He has sent me his. I don't know when he sends you.
Usually, I gotta check. He usually sends it sometime on Thursday.
He has sent the pics. I will get it. I believe, took Troy. I will get these for you so we can, if you want to get into that, if you're into that kind of thing tonight, and you want to put a few sodas on it or something, I will get that for you. I don't know why all of a sudden it says something went wrong, but don't fret, it's not your fault. I wish more people said that to me that way, but. Nonetheless, I will get to that. He has sent us his picks. And again, for tonight, I believe he took Troy in that ball game. Again, I'll get to that, and we'll see what's going on. 803-404-6100, how you can weigh in. Let's go back to this Brian Kelly thing for a second because, Tyler, we've been hearing, well, the bubble's going to burst. The bubble's going to burst. This bubble has got to burst, right? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
The coaching bubble. LSU is not the school I would have picked to burst the bubble, especially the way they're acting now. But they are actually in position to be like, and by bursting, I don't mean they stop paying top dollar. And we talked a little bit about this, I believe, yesterday, maybe Tuesday. But I think they're in position to go, all right, we're going to put some more stipulations in your contract.
Sure.
We're going to say that, let's say, after 4 years, you got to have, and I don't know, I'm coming up with an arbitrary number. You come up with whatever number you want. You got to have a 70% winning percentage, or if you don't, that's cause for firing.
Yeah.
There's your cause.
I think especially programs like LSU that have a high standard of being in the mix for the playoff and SEC championships and stuff like that. I think you put in more of those stipulations of overall win percentage or number of wins through a certain amount of years, playoff appearances, like, hey, through 5 years, we expect you to make the playoffs at least twice or something along those lines and kind of lay it out very clearly. And you know, that way the coach that signs on with him understands, hey, here's what I have to accomplish, because I think we set kind of these arbitrary guidelines of what expectations are supposed to be at these schools without knowing for sure what exactly is a fireable offense and what isn't. And for Brian Kelly, again, you know, this is a team that 2 years ago had a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, didn't have a good enough defense. Last year had a good offense, didn't have a good enough defense. Defense was better this year, offense wasn't good. So we kind of saw it trending for a while, despite the fact they were still winning at a pretty decent clip, just not getting to the level that fan base and people within that organization or program expect them to, and then they obviously fired him. But yeah, LSU has the opportunity to make this more of an upfront, streamlined type of thing, saying, hey, you're a head coach. This is exactly what we expect you to do over X amount of time with wins, playoff appearances, championships, whatever it may be. And if you don't meet those, you're gone. Now, yes, you're probably going to have to pay a lot more up front in terms of the overall contract, but the buyout can be smaller, theoretically.
Well, what you're looking for here, here's what you're looking for. You're looking for calls. This is where LSU and there's a few issues going on. LSU wants to fire Brian Kelly for cause.
Yes.
And it's that old, I've seen it now come across my Twitter a couple times. The Office, why can't I think of the Michael Scott, where he wants to fire Toby, and they're like, you got to have cause because I hate him.
Oh, because he's a victim. He did something with a hate crime. Well, it's not a hate crime. Well, I hate him, basically. So, yeah, they're trying to find a way out of paying him $54 million. And, again, there's nothing in his contract that outlines you got to win this many games, you got to have this many playoff appearances, because if there were, then you could fire him for cause if he agreed initially to sign that contract where, again, probably going to have to pay a lot more up front.
I don't know.
But you wouldn't be on the hook for the back end. I think for coaches, it would take more money initially, saying we'll pay you X amount of dollars up front, for the ability to fire you if you don't meet the expectations over a period of time.
I know what you're saying, and maybe there's going to be one or two or maybe three schools that have to endure that early. But once you set that precedent, And I think this is really interesting because if you're a South Carolina fan, you just go back to Will Muschamp.
Yep.
And you think about it, and you think about, Shane Beamer or whatever. But you're looking to like Jeremy Pruitt was easy, right? At Tennessee.
Sure.
You can fire him.
Legitimately did break rules and you could fire him.
Mike Price at Alabama back into 2000, whatever.
Hey,
and that was
undefeated at Alabama. Don't forget that.
Yep.
Never lost a game.
That's a good point. Good point.
The tide is rolling, baby.
Spectacular. But this is, I think, the way you bust the bubble a little bit. I mean, you can give them this huge buyout.
Sure.
But you attach to that, hey, this is our expectation. And I wonder, was it the governor or the president? The governor's still there. The initial president is not. But who basically said, we're going to stop these contracts.
Yeah.
This is outrageous. But here is their opportunity to set a precedent. And listen, that doesn't mean you don't pay him $12 million a year.
Sure.
But in that contract, it says at year 3, we're anticipating you, again, having a win percentage of, let's say, 60%. And by year 5, it's 70% or something. Now, let's say you're Lane Kiffin, and that's what Florida offers. That seems like do you want to take that?
No.
But
and that's where I think a place like LSU, if they're going to go down that route for their next coach, can get themselves in trouble in terms of trying to make the big splash hire. Lane Kiffin, Eli Drinkwitz, Marcus Freeman, whoever you want to throw in there. I don't think those guys would be willing to leave the situations they're in now to go there where you're setting a hard line in the sand of what you have to accomplish after a period of time.
They're essentially grandfathered in. Now, that doesn't mean a new contract doesn't come up.
Right.
And you put something in there in an extension. My question for you would be, because the name that's popping up for Auburn is John Summerall at Tulane. If Auburn, well known for overspending and not making the best decisions, were to come out and say, hey, here's what we're going to do, does John Summerall at Tulane now say, okay, I'll take that to go coach in the SEC at Auburn?
I think he probably would, because you're taking a step up and you're going to be offering him a lot more money than what Tulane's going to be paying him, going forward. So yeah, I think coaches in those positions, ones that are having success at G5, or guys that have never been head coaches, go from being coordinators to head coaches, are probably going to be willing to take those risks, and there's a belief that, hey, I'm going to be able to go in there, do my job well, and not have to worry about that because I'm going to be successful and we're going to win and all that kind of stuff. Again, I think it's the big name hires that are already at places that you're potentially scaring away if you're going to go down that route with them.
Well, but again, this comes back to, all right, you go to give Lane Kiffin an extension this year for Mississippi. Now, let's be honest. Mississippi's not going to rock the boat with Lane Kiffin, right?
Not at all.
Not now.
No,
you're not going to rock the boat at all. Lane, what do you want? Okay, you got it. But if you're Florida and you're hiring Eli Drinkwitz, and Florida's had no problem paying out, Dan, what order did it go? Muschamp?
Mullen.
No.
Muschamp, McElwain,
Mullen, and now Napier.
Now Napier.
If you're Florida, you're like, listen, we want you, Eli Drinkwitz. We're a better job to Missouri, but here's going to be the stipulations. Through 3 years, you got to win 60% again. These are arbitrary numbers that I'm throwing out.
Sure.
But you meet with the coach and you say, let's negotiate this. Okay, we're going to say through 3 years you've won 60% and you've gone to 2 bowls. And again, I circle back because now what you're doing is, if the coach doesn't meet those requirements, there is your just cause for firing him, which all of a sudden takes you off the hook for a substantial amount of buyout money.
I think you're also going to have to put incentives in there if they are accomplishing these things.
I do agree with
to
that,
make it more worth their while, as opposed to, hey, just, this is what we expect out of you. You better go out there and do it. You can say also, okay, if you get to these points by year 3, 4, whatever it may be, we're going to make it better for you.
That's a great point. That's an excellent point. Maybe even that lowers the salary a little bit, and you go, we got a sliding scale. If you're going up, you're going down.
Sure.
803-404-6100. We'll come back and wrap up our number 2. Jameis Winston doing, Jameis Winston stuff. We'll let you hear. I hate to admit this. There's going to be a day we're going to miss Jameis Winston.
Of course.
Well, I don't know if everybody would have said that initially.
No,
I don't know if people would still say that.
Listen, he was, I'd say, pretty well hated when he was at Florida State.
Yeah.
And, you know,
I'd
there was
still say he's not well liked.
there was a lot of antics that happened off the field that certainly contributed to that. But here's the thing. We didn't hear him talk a lot, right? And I don't know what the media availability for players at Florida State is, but I feel like we didn't really hear him speak too much.
He kept getting in
when he was
trouble.
there.
They
Kept
couldn't
getting in
let him
trouble.
speak.
Right. So we know more about him as this knucklehead that was making stupid decisions when he was at Florida State. But since he's coming to the league and we hear from him a lot more often, it's kind of changed the tide a little bit.
Jameis Winston, I didn't realize it. I had to watch the Daily Show the other night to really discover, because I don't pay enough attention to the Giants.
Yeah.
The blown leads the Giants have had this year.
Well, that's what led to Dable being
Right,
fired. They allowed that 19-point fourth quarter to Denver. They had a 10-point lead on the Bears last week and lost that game. So, yeah, that was
They got 97. They showed the ESPN win percentage. It was like 96.7%. Or
that's why they're looking for a new head coach.
Anyway, well, now they got their starting quarterback again. New quarterback, Jameis Winston. And yesterday, Jameis Winston got to talk about it, right?
He did, and he was excited.
Okay, let's let you listen. This is Jameis Winston addressing the media on him now being the starting quarterback for the New York Football Giants.
What do you want fans to know about you?
I want fans to know that I'm going to do my best. You know, obviously I'm going to have fun, but I'm going to execute, have a surgical execution, and just play ball, man. Like, this is something I've been doing since I've been 4 years old, and I just get to do it in the greatest city in the world. I'm going to be saying it with my son. It's the greatest city in the world. Yeah, that's a Hamilton reference if y'all don't know. Yeah, 10-year reunion.
What do you want to bet? He watched Hamilton for the first time within the past week, and that's why it was at the top of his mind.
I don't know. I'll say this. You ever meet those people that do stuff so dumb and they're like out of this world smart?
Yes. Idiot savants.
Okay. I'm starting to believe that's Jameis Winston.
You think so?
I truly, like, didn't he was doing, what was he doing? Not a podcast, but he was kind of doing something where he was traveling around and interviewing people. And
they sent him to the Super Bowl to, like, I think he was working for the NFL that week of just, like, interviewing random players and media people and just being Jameis.
Look, I'll admit openly, I'm not sure what Cam Newton's going through in his life with his analysis gigs.
Sure.
I feel like Jameis is going to take that from him, but Jameis is going to keep it actually more low-key if that's possible. But to that point, like, Jameis is going to have a post-NFL career doing some kind of entertainment. And he's growing, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why I said, I was like, we're going to end up missing this guy because I don't know how good he is as a football player. What was it? That 30-30 stat is still beyond crazy.
Yep.
But
he should be a captain on the Deadliest Catch.
Okay, I get it. Okay. Good one. Here's the thing. Like, I
got it too. I got it.
I don't know how long his football career is going to last. And look, give him credit. He's been around the league for a decade now, and the last handful of years, it's not been playing the best football, but he's good enough to still be a serviceable backup that keeps getting opportunities. So he may play for another, 4, 5, 6 years, maybe something along those lines. But he's not going to go anywhere. He's going to be around the NFL and maybe college football too for a very long time to come in some kind of media capacity. Because guess what? Somebody's going to throw, maybe not quite in the same way of McAfee, but somebody's going to throw a lot of money for him to talk a lot.
He'll be 32 in January. I mean, like I said, he's kind of, it reminds me a little bit for me of Randy Moss.
Okay.
Like Randy Moss, I did not like Randy Moss in the league.
Sure, yeah.
And I blame that.
Had his own bit of antics.
I blame that, by the way, partially on a former South Carolina basketball player who I went to high school with, Sheldon Everett. It's Sheldon's fault because when we were in high school, we had some class and we got to do a fantasy football league.
Okay.
And Sheldon kept telling me to take Randy Moss in our fantasy league, that he was going to be great his rookie year, and we didn't take him. And he got picked, and you know how great his rookie year was. So every day in class, we're in this class together with everybody else. Sheldon would remind me how great Randy Moss is, and Sheldon was not afraid to like really express his opinion. I think that's Sheldon Everett's fault.
Okay.
On that, he's out. I think he's out living in Missouri now or something, so he's probably not listening. But I have come a complete 180. I love Randy Moss. I love everything about Randy. I love listening to him talk. I will actually watch him break things down.
Yeah, I do too, and his voice certainly helps.
Hour 3, well, it's on the way. We'll talk more football and some basketball as well. It's the halftime show. final hour of the Thursday show. Got to be careful. I'll start singing around like Jameis Winston. Don't want to do that. Hope you're doing good. Weather starting to warm up for us a little bit after those cold days. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. We got plenty of great college football that's taking place this weekend. Not much great college football tonight. We've talked about this. Troy and Old Dominion. So I did look, for those of you interested and are into this kind of thing, Brian Edwards, our Vegas insider who will be on tomorrow, he says Troy plus 10.5 at Old Dominion tonight. Troy plus the 10.5.
Okay. Sure.
I know he won. I don't know how else he did. Let me just look last week. I know he won Houston because I might have followed him on Houston. He also had Memphis. That didn't work. He had the Indiana team total over 31.5. That didn't work. He had Mississippi State plus the 10.
That also didn't work.
That wasn't close. He had Bama minus 9.5 or 10 versus LSU.
That worked.
I don't know the number on Marcel. I can look it up. Rushing yards. He had over 38.5.
I want to say he eclipsed that. Don't quote me on it, but I think he was right.
He also had a strong lean to Cal plus 21 at Louisville. I believe he got that one, right?
Ooh, actually, he was just off 29 rushing yards from Marcel Reed.
That's a shame. And then Cal, did Cal beat Louisville last week? Am I crazy?
Yes, they did. Overtime game.
So he hit Cal. So he had Cal.
Cal coached by, do you know? You know coaches Cal?
Justin Wilcox.
Brian Harsin. Is Brian Harsin the OC or the head coach?
Might be the OC. Justin Wilcox is the head coach. Also, he had Florida minus 3, and that wasn't really close either. But again, Brian Edwards, who will join us tomorrow from VegasInsider.com at about 12:30. If you're interested in it tonight, his play is Troy plus the 10.5 at Old Dominion, and then we'll give you the rest of his plays for the weekend when he joins us tomorrow. He actually has a Jameis Winston play.
Listen.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and get this one out there.
Right.
He's got Jameis Winston over 228.5 passing and plus 2.5 interceptions.
I mean, that's a Jameis Winston stat line. Now, again, he's either going to have the greatest game you've ever seen or the worst. Probably nowhere in between.
Very true.
Jack brought up the stat. He's really good against the Packers, too, in his career. So I don't know if that factors in or not. But, yeah, Jameis is the ultimate hot-cold quarterback when he gets his opportunities.
That is true. So we'll catch up with him tomorrow and get his thoughts on the games of the weekend. I've been talking a lot today about the South Carolina Texas A&M game. I'll get back to that in just a second. We've also talked basketball, and I kind of posed the question to Tyler, and I don't think, Tyler, you had an answer for it, and I don't think I do either. The thing we are looking for with this basketball team is, are we seeing improvement? What are we seeing where we go, okay, they're better this game than they were last game. They're better here at this position than they were last game. This player's improving. You can say that about certain guys. Hayden Simeon last night, certainly stepped up in a big way. Grant Polk was 4 of 4 from three-point range. My question would be, through 3 games, for those of you out there, have you seen this team improve? Are they a better team now than they were when you saw them, a week ago, a little over a week ago against North Carolina A&T.
9 days ago now, I guess.
Yeah, and I get it. It's a very, very small sample size, but that's what when you have this kind of non-conference schedule, and they've still got Butler next Friday. They've got Northwestern on a Sunday. Then they got Clemson and Virginia Tech. So, yeah, you get some challenges, but that's what we're looking for. I don't know if we can say that they're improving at this point, but to me, that's what we're looking for, correct?
Yeah, and again, we haven't seen enough to give a definitive answer one way or the other, and really, like Radford coming up next weekend probably isn't going to tell us a whole lot different. It really is when you start playing a little bit better competition over these next couple weeks. Again, Butler, Northwestern, the 2 ACC schools, including Clemson. That's when it's really going to tell us what this team is. And I think because I guess is Clemson the last of the non-conference games that you would play versus power teams? Regardless, my interest will be, okay, you start with Butler, You play the other 3 games. What differences are you between that game and the 4th game in terms of power teams you're playing in the non-conference before you get into conference play? That's kind of my litmus on changes with this team.
Yeah, we'll kind of, again, follow that and see if we see improvement. I think maybe the better barometer will be the end of the month going into December. Did they improve at all in November? We talked about that. But last night, 81-61 over Presbyterian. Really, just kind of that atmosphere, the whole thing about the game. Yeah, it was not exactly a thriller. But then again, South Carolina, I think, still working through some kinks, and they're going to need to speed it up a little bit to get ready for Butler coming up on next Friday. That, by the way, will be a 2 p.m. game as part of the little multi-team tournament events that they have. 803-404-6100. When we've talked football, one of the things we've talked about is energy level. I'm really fascinated by this as it pertains to Mike Furry and Mike Shula. I don't know if it's going to matter, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think it will. If you kind of made me discuss it, and then we have, I think the energy of Mike Furry, and who was it that we heard earlier this week? I think it was Shane Beamer talked about the energy of Mike Furry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's listen yesterday. We're going to listen to both Clayton White and Joe DeCamillis. Let's start with Clayton White. And this is Clayton White talking about, again, this is number 36, Dave, talking about the energy of Mike Furry that he brings to the offense.
Yes, it's definitely one of those vibes where one thing I love about coaching here is Coach Beamer lets us be ourselves as people and as coaches. And I think when you know, obviously with the promotion of Coach Furry, he's being himself. You know, you hear him when he was a receivers coach. You hear him when he got the passing game coordinator title. You hear him as a coordinator. So the good thing about him, I think the most important thing as a coordinator, if you can never be, you're able to be yourself. If you're able to, you know, implement your own thoughts and your own ideas and concepts, and also listen to others, and don't be afraid to still tape off other people's stuff. But your coach lets you do that. I think that's when you have a great chance to be successful. But if you have a coach that's going to hover you and helicopter you and all that kind of stuff, I think you can kind of limit a coach. But coaching here, Coach Beamer, I will say he lets us coach football and the way we want to coach, and I think Furry's going to do a great job.
And again, this may be the dumbest argument, it may be the most irrelevant argument. It is something that, again, I'm really interested to see how the offense, because, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, if you haven't seen it, but the more I've thought about it and over the last 2 weeks, it does feel like the offense took on the blasé attitude.
Sure.
I mean, how many, just think, Tyler, what was it, the Mississippi game, you're down by 2 scores and the clock's running and you're huddling up, and it's just like,
yeah,
you know, how many times have we seen that this year where it seems like the team's just kind of like, all right, we'll get there, don't worry, everybody huddle up, take your time. And it feels like, and again, I'm not trying to pound on Mike Shula, that's not my goal here, but you do have teams, they talk about it, who take on the persona of their team, of their coach. And Mike Shula was a very, very, very laid-back kind of guy.
Yeah, and I think there is definitely some truth to that. And I think a reason why we're latching on to Furry's intensity so much is because we have no other real example of what this offense could look like. Yeah, we can look back at his limestone stuff, but that was a different level. And, you know, I don't know in terms of the disparity of what you have offensively there compared to here is necessarily matches up with what exactly you can do. So I think we're really kind of, not say grasping at straws, but kind of getting whatever we can from a non-X's and O's standpoint to craft an idea of what this offense can look like. And Furry's intensity does stand out. Maybe he's not on the exact same level as a Sean Elliott, but something kind of similar to that compared to, like you said, the laid-back nature of a guy like Mike Shula. And I hope that injects some kind of excitement and energy in this offense. In what form, I don't know, but it's certainly an offense that could use that, could use a little, you know, kick in the pants, essentially.
Yeah, and there's an extent, I never really thought about it with Lonnie Teasley, because quite frankly, I've heard Lonnie Teasley talk, but I don't remember what it sounds like. But he's kind of a laid-back, he was kind of a laid-back kind of guy. And then you switch to Sean Elliott, and I do feel like we've seen improvement from the offensive line. You got 2 really fiery guys,
Sure,
in Elliott and Furry now leading the way. And I'm interested to see if that trickles down into the mindset of the players. And if we see if they want to go more up-tempo, but if we're going to see kind of more of a a get after it, let's attack kind of mentality? Because I think we all agree we didn't really see that under Mike Shula.
No, we didn't. And again, we've all had coaches through our various careers, Pee Wee, high school, maybe playing college or whatever, that brings that level of energy that I do think, at least as you're going into a game, does kind of give you that extra little bit of a spark, as, somebody can give a rah-rah speech, or somebody that's going to come beat on your chest or headbutt you or something.
I think you feed off of it, right?
You do feed off of that. And again, that clip of Sean Elliott that goes viral every couple months of him, getting in it with his players before a game when he was the head coach at Georgia State. It's like, okay, this guy brings an intensity that I never saw Lonnie Teasley do. And again, maybe he's more an intense guy at practice behind closed doors and whatever, but Sean Elliott is somebody that certainly does that more in the public eye. And same thing with Mike Furry. And again, we have no idea what this offense is going to look like outside of that. So that's kind of our thing to focus on is, hey, he's a more intense guy. Can that resonate with this offense coming up on Saturday? And just give these guys more juice, right? Because I do feel like if you're in an offense is not successful, it has that blasé laid backness to it. I think there can be a tendency for these guys to kind of go through the motions a little bit, right? Not saying they're phoning it in or giving up or anything like that, but just kind of not have that same intensity because Shula doesn't bring that to the table. Hopefully Furry can untap in these guys.
This is just coming across my Twitter in the last 2 minutes. One great update to give you. This is a phenomenal update. Travian Robertson, defensive line coach, we know his story for the year. He has tweeted out a video of himself on the practice field coaching the defensive line. It said, "The field feels different when you fought to stand on it again. Thankful for grace, strength, and second chances." Again, he just tweeted this out within the last, looks like within the last 2 minutes. Yeah, 2:08.
Excellent.
Looks like a video this morning. I'll be honest, it shows him in a hoodie. I can see his feet. He's not wearing braces, or he's not wearing anything. He's wearing tennis shoes. Now, I don't know. He might have something on underneath his pants there. But this is a great update to provide because obviously, outside of football, life's a real thing. And what Travian Robertson went through and the health scare, the injuries and everything. But, yeah, there's a video out there now. He has tweeted it out. Lou Bezjak has retweeted it. And it is Travian Robertson putting the guys through some drills, doing actual teaching. And like I said, he looks, as far as I can tell, he looks good in the video and is moving around and talking. So awesome regardless to see Travian Robertson back out on the football field coaching. He might have been doing it prior, Tyler. I just was unaware of it.
That's the first thing that we've seen, at least. I know he's been at practice and the wheelchair and up on the one of the observation decks or whatever platforms. But yeah, that seems to be the first indication of him actually being on the field coaching, which is great to see.
803-404-6100, how you can weigh in. We'll come back, get back into a little more South Carolina, Texas A&M, and also talk a little bit more about what's going on around college football. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Tyler Head, Captain Dave Adair. It is the Halftime Show. 2:19 as we roll along. Coming up in the next segment, if you missed it yesterday, we're going to re-rack a portion of our interview with Cole Messina. Cole had a lot of great things to say. He told us about how his career is going, and we're going to get him back on. But most importantly, we had Cole Messina on yesterday to talk about Braylon Wimmer and what is going on with the former Gamecock shortstop. They are good buddies, and if you've not heard, if you haven't seen it, Braylon Wimmer was diagnosed. He's just 24 years old. Diagnosed with a brain tumor that will require an awake craniotomy, I believe is how I say it, to remove as much as possible of the tumor. We had Cole on. The interview gets a little emotional. It's a good buddy of his. Cole will tell you in the interview they roomed together this year in single A ball, and we're going to let you re-listen to that because, as I say, once you're a Gamecock, you're always a Gamecock, and this is where the Gamecock family has to step up to help one of their own. And Braylon has got a GoFundMe page. So far, they've raised over $48,000 for surgery and recovery. And we want you to hear that. If you didn't hear it, I tweeted it out yesterday. I've been a little more aggressive putting it on Twitter than I typically have with some stuff. Dave did a great job of getting it up. And so we're going to let you listen to that portion where Cole Messina talks specifically about what's going on with Braylon Wimmer, because certainly we want to get the word out to as many people as possible and be there for Braylon and help him in whatever way is possible. So we're going to re-rack just that small portion, about 7 minutes, and we'll play that coming up in the next segment. And again, if you're just tuning in to this segment and you didn't hear us in the previous segment, great news just in terms of life. Travian Robertson. Video has been put out now of Travian Robertson back on the football field this afternoon, coaching up the defensive tackles. It shows a full shot of Travian coaching them up. Doesn't look like there's anything wrong with his lower legs. He's got his. Did you just see the video?
I haven't seen the video. I'll check it out here in the next break. But, going back to you building your case of why Carolina could pull off an upset this weekend. Those kind of things can add a little more fuel to the fire. I'm assuming this is brand new of him coming back in that type of role that he was in before. Which is why they put the video out. So if he's been back at practice today or for the past couple days, who knows? That could be something that could light a little extra fire, not only under the defense, but under the whole team going into a tough matchup this weekend.
I don't know if Shane will address it tonight. Reminder, Carolina Calls with Shane Beamer coming up at 7 o'clock tonight, he and Todd Ellis. I don't know if he'll address it. I would be interested to know if Travian can travel and will be with the team. I would, based on that video that I just saw, it's a very short clip, about 50 seconds. I retweeted it. You can go to @Will, W-I-L, Gunter, G-U-N-T-E-R, and check it out. I know it's on Travian's Twitter account, too, but his is a little more complicated for me to try to read. What is his? His is Robertson_292.
Yeah, and especially with leg injuries and stuff like that, flying can be a little complicated, blood clots and those kind of things. So that may not be the case for him. We don't know. I hope that it'll get brought up at some point tonight in Carolina Calls. But even if he isn't traveling with the team, just having him back at practice seemingly the way that he was before his accident a couple months ago, that is great to see. And, again, could be something that gives that little extra spark to this team this weekend.
And nothing against Jordan Dove. I think it's Jordan Dove. But we I think at times we haven't focused on that enough with the development. I really do think, and I would listen to Preston talk about this, and I know Preston is a huge fan of Travian and the way Travian coaches and teaches, because it's from the Brad Lawing School of Coaching and Teaching. And I don't know if we focused in enough on the fact that while the defensive line has played well, I wouldn't say they've played great.
Sure.
I wouldn't say they've played awful. I would put it at well. I'd put it about a 3 out of a scale of 1 to 5. But not having that guy there, just doing the Zoom calls, and then when he was at the practice field, as you mentioned, he was up in the tower, not having him physically standing there. I think we also have to be cognizant that has maybe set back the defensive line just a tad. I'm not saying that they would be, what are they? I'm not saying they would be 7-2 if Travian Robertson's there. But you do wonder if it's worth a game or two somewhere along the line, maybe against Missouri and stopping Ahmad Hardy, or maybe in that Alabama game.
You know, we focused so much on the offensive issues. I feel like if this was last year, maybe that would have been something we talked about a little bit more, but our offensive conversations have kind of dominated things more to where you go days and weeks kind of forgetting about that situation, that you do have somebody in that interim role in that, as that defensive line coach. And again, credit to Jordan, who's done as good a job as he can. And that's a lot of responsibility placed in the lap of a guy that's never done that before. So I think he's done a serviceable job, but I am interested to see, and again, it's the end of the season. So how much improvement can you make with only a couple weeks left? I don't know, but interested to see if there is any difference in that defensive line with Travian back seemingly in his proper role again.
So we've got that. So that's good for him. And again, we're going to re-rack that Cole Messina interview from yesterday, and I'll let you hear that coming up here in the next segment. 803-404-6100. Real quick, college football. So Saturday. Let's go through some of these. I want you to give me your team that is in the danger. I'm trying to pick the games here because Texas is not in danger of being upset. They're just a flat-out underdog. Oklahoma's not in danger of being upset. So let me give you on a scale of 1 to 5. You don't have a 3. 1, 2, 4, 5. 1, 2, 4, 5.
Okay.
Danger zone, Tyler Head.
Can I ask why I know 3 again? I don't know.
Preston got me, yeah.
All right.
Because you can't go middle ground.
Well, technically 2.5 would be a middle ground, but
1, 2, 4, 5. We could just make it 1 through 4, I reckon.
Whatever. That's fine.
But Preston, you pick up things from different people. 1, 2, 4, 5. Are they in danger of an upset or not? Notre Dame, 12.5-point favorite, noon game at Pittsburgh, ranked number 22.
I go 4.
Oh.
I think that's a good Pittsburgh team. I was just looking it up, by the way. Pittsburgh is the 11th passing offense in the nation. Notre Dame is 88th against the pass in the country. So this is probably the best passing team, well, maybe behind A&M. Probably one of the best passing teams they've played so far this year. And A&M put up a lot of points on them. So that's something that could but when it's 2 ranked teams, is it really an upset, though? Like, that's kind of
12.5. That's why I read it out loud.
Okay.
But I said, are they in danger of getting – I mean, I could flip it around and say Georgia, but
sure.
I feel like this would be an upset as opposed to Texas beating Georgia. You're just like,
I think Pitt is very capable of pulling off this win against Notre Dame.
Texas Tech. They're at home. It's going to be a 3:30 game. It's going to be on Fox, but they're coming off of that BYU game. They're 24.5-point favorites. The $7 million defensive line. They play Central Florida and Scott Frost. 1, 2, 4, 5 in terms of Texas Tech. All for the big victory, maybe being a little sleepy, maybe overlooking UCF, or no?
I'd go about a 2.
Okay.
Although nothing's impossible, as I'll say quite a bit. But I don't believe enough in this UCF offense to be able to keep up with what Texas Tech does.
7 o'clock Saturday night, ESPN. Last year, it was Florida who knocked Mississippi out of the playoffs down in Gainesville. It was a huge upset. This will be a night game at Vaught Hemingway. Mississippi's a 13.5-point favorite. I feel maybe after watching last week that Florida's caved. They're benching DJ Lagway, by the way.
Yes, they are.
They're benching
at halftime last week.
Boy, you talk about quarterbacks that have completely, that we talked about at the beginning of the season. That might be a segment for tomorrow. Arch Manning's got a chance for redemption tomorrow, but Lagway. But let me ask you, 1, 2, 4, 5, Mississippi on upset alert.
I'll go probably 2.
Okay.
Again, I liked what I saw out of Florida against Georgia. First game with that Billy Napier. They played inspired football and took Georgia to the limit. They looked awful last week. And I think, because look, Ole Miss understands they've got the playoff in their hand at this point. All they got to do is not screw up. It's a home game for them. I think they'll be fine.
7:30 tomorrow night, Saturday night on NBC. Ohio State, UCLA kind of had that run.
Yeah.
It's going to be a night game. It's in Columbus. Julian Sayin seems to be playing better. Ohio State seems to be clicking. They're a 31.5-point favorite. So this would be a wild one. But 1, 2, 4, 5?
I'll go 1.
1?
Look, Ohio State is either untested or just they're that darn good. They're dominating everyone. I'm going to lean towards the latter on that. And, yeah, UCLA was a fun story for a couple weeks. You're going into the horseshoe at night. I don't see that happening.
Final one. BYU is still in the college football playoff consideration. They're still in the running to have a rematch with Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship. They are only a 3.5-point favorite Saturday night, late game, ESPN 10:15 against TCU. Again, BYU a 3.5-point favorite. A loss would drastically change maybe the picture, the Big 12 college football playoff picture, where maybe they're only getting in one.
Yeah, I'll go like a 4 on this one because TCU's played some pretty competitive games, even in the games they've lost against teams like Iowa State and Arizona State. So they had the opportunity to make this interesting.
Very good. Well done. And thank you for following me with no 3s on that.
Okay.
There you go. 803-404-6100. If you want to weigh in, we'll come back. We're going to let you re-listen to our Cole Messina interview. I want you to hear about Braylon Wimmer and what's going on with him. We want to get the word out. We're going to re-rack that, and we'll have a few other thoughts here as we roll along, start to wrap up our Thursday episode. It's the Halftime Show. It is 2:35 here on a Thursday. Yesterday, we were joined by former Gamecock catcher, now in the Colorado Rockies organization, Cole Messina. You can catch the whole interview on our podcast page. Go to 1075thegame.com, click on shows, click on the halftime show, picture of Tyler and I. We need to get a picture of Dave in there as well. Picture of Tyler and I. Go to the podcast page, scroll down, you'll see the part that says Cole Messina. We're not going to play the whole interview. You can go and listen to what Cole had to say about how he's coming along. He also killed a buck, I believe, with a bow yesterday. That was his first bow kill of his life. Correct. He was very happy about that. We're not going to play that for you. We are going to play the part where, if you haven't heard, Braylon Wimmer, former Gamecock shortstop, has got an issue going on, and we want to be there to help. I want to make this known. Doctors discovered a brain tumor for Braylon back on November 1st that is going to require an awake craniotomy to remove as much as possible. And how can we help? That's what I wanted Cole to discuss. Cole and him are good friends. They obviously played together at South Carolina and roomed together at Single A ball this year. And Cole was more than happy to come on and talk about his good buddy. You'll hear him get a little emotional talking about some of the things about Braylon. But I want you to listen. If you can help Braylon Wimmer, there's a GoFundMe page. Cole will talk about that. We'll reiterate it when we're done. But here's a portion of our interview yesterday with Cole Messina talking about Braylon Wimmer and what's going on. Braylon Wimmer, very unfortunate situation from back on November 1st. Give us a little detail in what is going on with Braylon Wimmer. I tried to read some of the piece that I found here, but I know you're better friends with him. You've been in communication with him. Give us an update on how he's doing, how he is kind of feeling and emotionally, and kind of what has occurred here.
So Braylon was actually in Arizona playing in the Fall League, and November 1st, they were riding to a game, and he had a mini seizure, and was lucky enough that the trainer was on the bus with them. They got to the hospital quickly. They didn't really know what was happening. Took him in for an MRI, and come to find out, he's got a tumor behind his left ear. I'm pretty sure it's one of the ears, but it's behind his left or right ear. Sorry. And he's on November 19th. He's actually having surgery to get it removed. Me and Braylon talk every day for the most part. He seems to be in good spirits. He's ready to kick this thing's tail. He's ready to get back doing what he does, and that's playing baseball. That's pretty much it. Not 100% on if it's cancer or not, just because they have to run labs and stuff. Just it's looking like cancer just because he is so young and so healthy and active. But yeah,
it's a friend. He's a friend. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to talk about.
Not a good case scenario, but he's a tough dude. He's one of the toughest dudes I know, and he's gonna kick this thing's tail.
Yeah, and he's a good friend of yours. Trust me, I understand. It's not easy, but I know that you want to help him, and a lot of us want to help him. How a lot of this, the money going to help cover medical and recovery expenses, surgery. I mean, I'm there. I get it. We talked about Jay Phillips. I mean, there's a lot of people around here that are affected by different things that have happened, and obviously this is unfortunate. You mentioned Braylon's very young, 24, but he's a Gamecock, and Gamecocks take care of each other. How can people out there reach out? How can we help Braylon? What can we do? There's a GoFundMe page, I know, for him. Please share what we can do to be there for Braylon in this time of need.
Yes, sir, there is a GoFundMe page. It's on my Facebook, actually. It's on his girlfriend's, Peyton. It's her name, her page, his page as well. You can find it. But honestly, just thoughts and prayers. I mean, prayer is a powerful thing, and he's sorry.
It's
trying
tough.
to get emotional, but he's but yeah, I mean, that's just the biggest thing, is helping him anyway. Just keeping him in your thoughts and prayers. If anybody out there can donate, he'd really appreciate it. But yeah.
Where do they have him? Is he still out in Arizona? Have they brought him back here? I know we're learning. I'm learning, and learning a lot about facilities that can handle these things. Where do they have him currently located at?
He's in OKC at home.
Okay.
I guess that I assume that the brain surgeon out there is top of the line. So
I'm going to make it a little.
Where he is now.
I'm going to make it a little tough on you. We see Braylon as athletes. We saw you guys put on uniforms. We don't know the guys behind the uniforms a lot of times. Give us a little story about Braylon that can make you laugh these days. And again, you two were in college together. Trust me, I was in college. I know the shenanigans that can go on behind the scenes. Share with us a little secret about Braylon that does make you smile and that maybe people don't know about him.
So we actually were blessed to play with each other this past year in Spokane, and we were roommates. And every Monday, we would go to Buffalo Wild Wings, and we'd get the 20-count boneless wings and a large fry. And we'd eat it in the living room. And then about 9 o'clock, we'd go and get Dairy Queen Blizzards as our treat. And that was something that we both looked forward to throughout the week. The people that know Braylon know that he's not a very emotional guy, and he's not going to show his emotions, I guess. But that's one thing that would always make him smile, is us just hanging out, sitting around, being normal dudes for a little bit, not so much worried about baseball and not worried about what was going on. We were just, with each other, hanging out, eating ice cream. I mean, that's probably the only story I could tell on the radio.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's not a podcast. We can't go down a path. Oh, I know it's tough. It's a buddy, and and listen, but we want to help him. I know the Gamecock Nation wants to be there for him. You guys, your contributions. We'll get you back on here in the near future to talk more lightheaded stuff. I know a lot of people want to talk about your time at South Carolina, what you remember. I know you still keep up with the program, and certainly want to get your thoughts as we head into year 2 of Paul Maneri and what you're willing to share with us. But today I wanted to make it more about Braylon and trying to help him. And so once again, if you don't mind, be a little more specific. I know you said it's your Facebook. You mentioned his girlfriend's Facebook. What is it that people can go and what they can do? And trust me, I'll be the first to tell you, any donation helps. Anything, $5 goes further than you realize. If you can give more, that's awesome. But where can people go to support Braylon and help him besides just doing it through prayer and thoughts?
The GoFundMe, yes, sir. I'm not sure how to get it out to everyone. I guess I'm sure you could probably look up GoFundMe Braylon Wimmer.
Send it to me, and we'll put it on Twitter, and we'll get it out there.
Sounds perfect. Thank you, sir.
Send it to me.
Do that.
We'll get it out there. Cole, we got to let you go. We got to hit a break, man. We love you. We're pulling for you. We're pulling for Braylon. We're going to be in touch with you. Hang out in Charleston. Enjoy your time, and I'll be in touch with you. We'll get that GoFundMe out there. We're going to help a Gamecock. We're going to help that young man, and we're going to fight with him, and we're going to be there step by step with him, and we're there with you step by step as well. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Cole Messina joining us this afternoon. That was, as I just said from yesterday, that was Cole Messina. And, yeah, you can go GoFundMe.com, help support Braylon's brain surgery and recovery. I've put it on my Twitter. I'll retweet it here again in a few minutes. Go to Will, W-I-L, Gunter, G-U-N-T-E-R. Sorry, I get a little choked up talking about it. But go to my Twitter, and we can help Braylon Wimmer. We'll come back and wrap up the Thursday episode. It is the halftime show. Wrapping it up on a Thursday. Tomorrow, reminder, Brian Edwards will join us. I think he was, got a texter called in, text in and said he didn't think he did very well. I think he was about 500 last week. Look, it was a hard business. I think he hit a bunch of them, missed a few of them. But Brian Edwards will join us tomorrow and give his picks again. He took Troy tonight, plus the 10.5 over Old Dominion. They're on the road in that game. So if you want to wager on that or you want to fade them, whatever you want to do, however you view it and making money, go knock yourself out. Do that. But Troy and Old Dominion and our good buddy with Vegas Insider and MajorWager.com, Brian Edwards will join us at 12:30 tomorrow to make his picks. And then we will roll on with the high school playoffs. We are getting into the absolute nitty-gritty with the high school playoffs and look forward to that tomorrow with Chris Deering to get the breakdown of what games to keep an eye on. Crazy. And the weather, the way the weather is supposed to be, it's going to be another beautiful night for high school football across the state. So we'll catch up with him tomorrow at 1:15. You never know what else we'll have along the way tomorrow as we get set for South Carolina and Texas A&M, as well as what should be a pretty interesting week of college football, and maybe get into a little bit of the fact that, you know, is the expanded playoff with South Carolina out of it and fighting for bowl eligibility, scrapping, clawing, doing whatever. Does the expanded playoff and the fact that some of these games maybe take on a little more meaning, does it keep you intrigued? Are you still kind of, does it make you want to watch a little bit more? And maybe we'll get into that just a little bit tomorrow as we go through and try and get you set again for the weekend that will be. Also, Clemson plays tomorrow night. They travel up to number 20, Louisville, in that game. And, you know, we haven't talked. There's a lot of things that we can talk about this year. We have honestly not talked a lot about Clemson. 4-5 on the season. And you look at what the Tigers have got left right now. A losing season is not out the realm of possibility. They should beat Furman. Putting that game on the CW network, by the way, next weekend at 4:30. But they should beat Furman. I should text Brian and see if we have I should have done this. I didn't think about it till right now. I'm sure it's somewhere out there. If there's a spread on the South Carolina Clemson game as it stands right now, I would think Clemson's probably favored, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, probably
2.5, 3.5.
Yeah, say probably pretty tight. That is something else you could be playing for coming up here in a couple weeks if Clemson loses to Louisville on Friday. That even if Carolina loses to A&M, you could potentially eliminate Clemson from bowl eligibility by handing them their 7th loss of the year if things continue in that way. So maybe that's something, even if not for bowl eligibility, you could be playing for to spoil your rival from playing an extra game as well.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see whatever happens on Saturday. If they lose, if South Carolina does indeed lose, I'm really going to be interested to see if Shane Beamer can keep this team together, because at least 2 years ago, they went to the Clemson game with bowl eligibility on the line.
Yeah, they've never been in a position to not actually be playing for something.
So, that's not what you want to do. Not what you want to do, but I will be interested. A couple of y'all weighed in. Albert, you got to listen tomorrow, Albert. He says, love you, Bill, and your optimism, but I don't see how we come remotely close to beating A&M this weekend. If anything, our issue will be players checking out after a 7th loss, which would undoubtedly make the Coastal game an interesting one. The game will be CCU's Super Bowl, so I expect nothing less than it going down to the wire. And if we lose that game, then all bets are off for the season on the coaching front. But as always, go Gamecocks. That's from Albert.
Yeah, we'll examine both sides of the coin a little bit more tomorrow in terms of optimism and pessimism going into this one.
Vince weighs in and asks, will Mike Furry be on the field or in the booth? $1 million question. That's a secret is under wraps. I'm assuming he's going to be on the field.
Yeah, because he's been there the whole season. Again, Beamer didn't commit one way or the other. Maybe we'll get a better answer to that coming up tonight on Carolina Calls. But I would assume he stays down there on the field because, again, that's just where he's been all year. And I know he won't be in charge of the rotations at wide receiver, but I'm sure he'd still like as much input as he possibly could be.
I would assume, but we'll see. We don't have an answer. Again, Carolina Calls tonight. You can hear it right here on 107.5 The Game coming up at 7 o'clock. Todd and Coach Beamer over at Backstreet's Bar and Grill. Again, we'll have it for you live right here. Maybe we'll get some information. I don't know where Coach will draw the line in giving us too much information and now saying you've got enough information. I don't know where that line is with Shane right now.
I think by not having Mike Furry speak yesterday, it's probably trying to quell as much information
now we're backing
getting
it
out.
down? Okay.
Yeah, I think we're backing it down, trying to leverage every kind of advantage you can. And I don't blame them for that. If you think that's going to help you win, then by all means do it.
One more coming in. Will, I know you're a big college football video game fan. Do you know why Cutter Woods has not opted into the game? I don't. And my son talks about this all the time, and I don't have an answer why he has not been placed in the game.
I don't know either.
I don't know. Wesley weighs in. Give me the Gamecocks. This game screams upset. Aggies haven't really played good competition this year, and I think our defense takes the game over and holds them to a low score.
We'll see.
We'll debate it all tomorrow. Y'all come on back. 21-hour break for me, 18-hour break for Tyler. Y'all have a great rest of your Thursday afternoon.